So till now, what we have seen, introduction to database. This is the first thing that we started with, introduction to database, right? After introduction to database, we started with basic SQL queries. Basic SQL queries. Very basic SQL queries, like selecting a column, creating a database, something like that. Right? This is something that we have started with. If you guys remember one thing, then we had discussed very important thing that there are majorly two types of SQL commands. Right? If I talk about SQL commands, there are majorly two types of SQL commands. So types of SQL commands. Types of SQL commands. Right? Types of SQL commands. There are actually four, but the major one are two types of SQL commands. There are two types of SQL commands. SQL means structured query language, right? One is DDL, DDL, and another is DML, DML, right? What is DDL? Right. What is DDL, everyone? Right. What is DDL? This is data definition language. Data definition language. Data definition language. So DEFINITIO, definition language. Then we have data manipulation language. Manipulation language. Right. Right. If I have to talk about, in a very easy way, then it deals with the database, all the query which comes under DDL deals with the database, and DML actually deals with the tables. Tables. What is the structure of database? So basically you create a database, something like that, right? Something like this. So let's say a database name is, let's say, something like that, a student, right? Right? Something like a student. Inside this database, you will be having multiple tables, right? Multiple tables. So for example, let's say this table would be something, uh, this table can be enrollment information, enrollment info. This would be fee info, right? This would be marks info. So this can be multiple tables, right? So this is a database, right? These are the tables. This is the understanding. Now in DDL, we created a database, we used a database. In DML, we selected few of the columns. So basics of DDL and DML is over. So if you remember, these things we already have seen. Select, distinct, this and all. Right. But this was easy. It is just that you get familiar with this DBMS. Now the real sequel starts from today, right? Till now, what we have done? Just loaded the data set, right? Loaded the data set and just viewed some column and values. Nothing else. You have not done anything. So what we have done till now, we have seen very few commands. Till now, create database, create database, right? Create database. This we have seen. Then what we have seen? Use database. We have seen this. Then this is from DDL. This is from DDL and DML. From DML, what we have seen? Select star from table all the rows and select distinct value. Distinct, right? Distinct column name, right? This was for DML. These are the only two into two four things that we have seen so far. This was some sort of revision that we already have seen. So far, so good, everyone. Anyone has any other questions to ask? Right. We have seen only till here, right? Everyone agrees to this? right? Hopefully, everyone agrees to this. Right? Everyone agrees to this. Right? Now, let's start with this DDL first. So, DDL. DDL means data definition language. Data definition language. Right. Data definition language. Right. Right. And here we are going to see four commands. First one is create, right? So create new database object, create new database object, right? Create new database object. Second, alter, alter, right? Alter simply means modify existing database, existing database, existing database object. Then we are going to see drop, delete existing database, delete existing database, and finally we are also going to see truncate. It means make the table, make the database empty. So remove all rows from table. So database is empty, remove all rows from table, or table is empty, whatever you want to say. So if there is multiple tables, then you can say tables will be, that particular table will be empty. So that is something we are going to start with. We are going to see everything in detail, right? Right. So this is something that we are going to start, right? So far so good, everyone, right? So let's start. First of all, I will clear everything, and there will be slight strategic change in teaching of SQL, right? So what I'm going to do, whatever query I will write it here, right? I will also put, or I will also write that here in the notepad, so that you have some idea that what I am doing here, right? Right. So agenda would be to complete DDL commands, then we will move to DML commands and try to see multiple queries. That would be the agenda of today's lecture. Everyone is on the same page. Should we start now? Yes or no? Right? Very good. Jyoti says, what is the use of segment? What is segment, Jyoti? I don't have any idea. What is the, you know, what are you saying about the segment? Actually, I don't have any idea. Right? Part of the thing, I don't understand. Right? Part of the thing. Right? Okay. Anyway, anyway. So let's start. So we will start, and uh, part of segment is the name of the column. Okay, I don't know. But anyway, so let's start first, right? Let's start. Now, here we are seeing two database. I don't need any database as of now. So I will do here one thing, right? Right. So here I will just write drop, 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 database, right? Learn SQL 1. Learn SQL 1, right? So first of all, I will execute this, right? I will execute this, right? So here if you see drop database learn SQL 1, and then here learn SQL 2 also I will drop. I don't want to keep any database as of now, right? Right. Very good, right? So now guys, start. Let's start, right? First thing I am going to do, create database, right? Create database, and here I will just put, right, the database name to be students. Let's, I want to keep it create database students, right? So this create database student. Now if you just execute this and just refresh it, you will find a database student. But actually, this is not the correct way to write the database. In the last class, we had two class of SQL, right? Right. It was just an introduction part. That's why I didn't have taught much. But the correct thing to write. First of all, I will again drop. So drop database, drop database, drop database. First, I will again drop. Let's say I again dropped it. Then again, I will create a database. So let's say I will create a database. So create database. So let's say create database students. And here the correct thing is you have to write, you should write if not exists. If not exists. If not exist, please create the database. And see here, these all keywords are in capital. So now if you execute, then again, right, right, right. So basically, here there is, what is the error? Create database if not exist, right? Just a second, right, 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 right. So here, just you have NSQL, check the manual that corresponds to your MySQL. So create database. Why it is there? Create database if not exist. Students. Mhm. So here, if you see create database, if not exist, one row affected, and there was no any issue. It is just that I didn't had executed it. But now if you see, you have a database called students. So you just need to refresh it. So this is your student database ready. Everyone got it? Yes or no? Everyone did it on your SQL workbench, right? Everyone. So this is the best practice. So now I will just write DDL. So here I will write here very simple, create database, database, database if exists, if exists, and let's say here I will just write students, right? Right. Now similarly, if you want to drop the database, same thing you have to do, right? Same thing, right? You have to just write drop the database, right? Drop the database, right? If not exist. So here you will just write drop, drop database if exist. So here if not exist, here if exist. Now if you execute this, so now you will refresh, there is no database student. So drop database if exist. So here I will just write, actually there should be a notepad where I can just copy it. Notepad, that would be a better idea, right? So create database if exist, and drop database if exist, or no, create database if not exist. So here now I will just write create database if not exist, like a student, right? So now you will again execute. Now you will see there is a database now. Here I will just put it like this, right? Right. So this is the two commands that you have seen, right? So far so good, everyone. Yes or no? Right, right, right. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Right, right. Now the database is created, right? Now another thing is, let's say create and drop we have seen, right? Create and drop we have seen. So create and drop is for, you know database. So DDL commands create and drop. So this create database if exists, I will remove this, right? Right, right. So create and drop. So DDL commands for database, for database, database is create and drop. This we have seen. Now, I want to also see DDL commands for tables, right? Tables. So again, we have create, drop, and truncate. Truncate. Create, drop, and truncate. Right, 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 right. Now we have to see this. Right, right. Create, drop, right, right, right. Create, drop, and truncate. So now, how will you create, table? Right, 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 right. So here, so Jyoti says truncate. What is the meaning of truncate? So truncate means remove all the rows from table. So now, first of all, let's start creating the table. So how will you create the table? So again, I will start with, so create database if not exist, right? The students, right? So here, the student database is created. Now, I will write use students, students, use students. Always remember the best practice would be to write the database name in small. So use student. Now you will see this is the dark black. It means you are going to use student. You are inside student. So this is the understanding. So now I will just again copy it and paste it here. Now you want to create a table, right? Create. So DDL command, DDL command or DDL uh, query, query for tables, tables. So create, truncate, and drop, right? So let's see it, right? So what I will do now, I will create a table. So first thing, how to create a table, right? So you have to define the structure. How will you define the structure? So maybe you will just write create first, create, see, create database, similarly create table. So I will start with create table. And now inside this student, maybe let's say I can have student info. So let's say student info, student info. And then inside the student info, what are the things that can be there? Maybe there can be, let's say, roll number. So let's say, maybe I'll just write, right here I will write student info, maybe, uh, maybe yes, let's say roll number. This is the first thing. I can just put the roll number first, right, right. Roll number can be there, right, right, right. Roll number can be there, right, right, right. Then we can have the name, right? So roll number, then we can have name, and then maybe you can have class, right? So here let's say class. So here I will just put create table. I will just put student info like this. Create table, student info, roll number, then we have name, then we have class. With this we also need to put the data type. Right. So here I can just put integer. So integer, let's say integer, right? Name can be what? Name can be string. So here you can just write varchar. So here you will put varchar, and varchar will be of 256 bits. So 256 size. So you will write 255. From it start from 0. Right. Then class again it can be varchar of a small size, maybe let's say here I can just write maybe 56, something like that, right, right. I can just write something like this, right, right. So now if you just see this is done, and now you will close the bracket. So you will close the bracket something like this, done, and semicolon. Now you will execute this, right, right. So here I will just execute this. So here it is comma, there it is comma. Now let's execute this. I will select it and now execute this. So now if you see here, we have create table student info with roll number integer, name varchar, and class varchar. And now if you refresh it, so then inside this table you will find a student name, and here we have columns roll number, name, class. This is the understanding, right? Yes or no? Everyone got it so far, right? Right. Yes or no, everyone? Right? Right. So this way you created your first table in the database. Is it clear, everyone, so far? Quickly, yes or no? Everyone did it, right? I will copy paste this query again here, right? So that I can just. Everyone is doing or not? Yes or no? Everyone, right? Everyone, is everyone doing? Right? 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 Jyoti says I'm doing getting error. Okay. I cannot comment as of now, right? But yeah, no, maybe I will see it at a later time, at, you know, in the last. Okay, so now we have done so far, right? Right. Adeline says MySQL has some issues. Guys, you guys have to do practice, so otherwise it is going to be, you know, uh, you know, problematic thing. This is going to be problematic thing, right? Right. Right. Idea is that you guys have to uh, uh, right, right, right. Uh, you have to do it on your own. But anyway, now moving ahead. So we have seen this create table. Fine, we have created the table. Now let's say you want to insert a value inside this. This is a DML query, but I have to write it here. So let's say into insert into where I want to insert. I want to insert this. Let's say maybe student info. I want to insert into student info. Now, what I want to insert. So basically, I want to insert maybe let's say here. So I will just put it. Let's say what are the column name? Roll number. Then we have name. Then we have class. So I want to insert values something like this. Values, right? Values, and here I will put roll one. Name is maybe let's say uh, no Ajay. So Ajay, see, remember this is not single quote or double quote. This is a value. This is a sign that you see just above the tab, right? Name Ajay, and then class. Maybe I will just write first batch, first batch, or class first. Simple. Right. Now let's try to execute this. So here I will just execute this. Right. Unknown column Ajay in the field list. Right. So here, mhm. So Ajay name. I will just a second. Right. Right. Here single quotes. So here, yeah, here it should be single quotation. While writing, while writing command, it should be backtick, and here it should be single tick, something like this. Right? That's it. So here now, if you just execute this, right, right. Now here, if you see, you will be having one value. Now, how to see that? Select star star from student info, student info. Right. Right. So while selecting column, it should be backtick, but while inserting the value, it should be single quote. Right. This is some problem with SQL and Python. Whenever you will work interchangeably, that will happen. Right. So now if you see, we have a roll number one, name Ajay, and class first. So again, this is a DML command, right? You are inserting something into table, but I had to do because I have to show you truncate and drop. So truncate is important, so I had to show you truncate, and that's why I had to insert a value in this database, right? Fine. So here I will just copy paste. Now inserting a row in the table, in the table. I have just inserted a row in the table. That's it. Now what I'm going to do, I want to use truncate, right? Truncate. How to use truncate? So you have to write now truncate table, truncate table, right? And then just write student info, student info. And this way your table will be truncated. Now if you see, there will be no records, zero record. Now if you will execute this again, you will find no any record. So what is the meaning of truncate? Right. Truncate simply means you empty your table. Empty the table. Empty the table. Why you want to empty the table? Maybe you don't want any value as of now, but you want to keep the table for future references. So, right, you want to delete all the records. You want to delete all the records, all the records, but but keep keep table structure for future references, for future references. Then in that case you have to use this truncate. Now finally you have drop. So what you will do again, just use drop table. So here I will just write drop table. So drop table, and now you put the name student info, and this is how you drop the table. Done. And now if you see, the table has been dropped, and now if you refresh, you will not find any table named as student info. This is the understanding so far related to your create, truncate, and drop. Is it clear, everyone? So far, everyone, right, 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 right. Everyone has done so far, right, right, right. Now, many of the time in interview, these questions will be asked, and actually, I have also asked this question: difference between truncate and drop. Difference between truncate and drop. Between truncate and drop. Truncate and drop. Right, right. Guys, don't get bored. You will be today. You are going to be very surprised because, right, today we are going to solve a data set using SQL. Right, 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 right. So that is also going to be fun. So difference between truncate and drop. Right. So I will just write a comparison. Right, right. So let's say deletes the data. Deletes data. Deletes schema. Schema means structure. Schema can be rolled back. Schema can be rolled back or can be undo. Rolled back or undo, right? Faster than delete. Faster than delete. There is also option delete using command prompt. That's where I'm comparing. So let's say these are the four parameters we have to discuss. Here it is truncate table, right, right. Then we have drop table, drop table, drop table. Now deletes the data. Yes, all the rows, all rows. Drop table, it also deletes the data. Yes, but entire table. This is the difference. Deletes the schema? No. Schema remains same. Structure keeps the structure. Structure is there, right? Yes. Removes the entire table. Can be rolled back? No. It cannot be rolled back. It cannot be undone. Faster than delete? Yes. So yes, here. So this is actually faster than delete because I haven't shown delete. But anyway, if someone asks faster than delete, yes, it is faster than delete. Is it clear so far? Right, right, right. Yes or no, guys? Everyone? Right, right, right. Tanya says difference between drop and delete. So delete actually is used through terminal line or command line. Right. So here you are executing using this DBMS. Many a time you will connect this to via some connector. Then usually people use delete, right? But don't worry, we are not going to use delete. We are going to use drop itself, right? Tan Vipan says if I execute this insert query again and again, it insert the data again. Yes, true. So if you again insert this, let's say insert into, but okay, I have dropped it. So basically in database, each row it will just keep inserting. So even in pandas, if you keep appending, even if it is duplicate, it will keep appending, right? That's the understand, right? Right. Right. Now, moving ahead, moving ahead, right, 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 right. We have understood one very, very important thing, that there are some features of a database. Features of a database. Features of a database, right? If you guys remember, there were 4 5 database feature of ideal database that we had studied. Ideal database we had studied. Right. We had studied features of an ideal database. One was robustness and so on. One important topic was data integrity. Right. Data integrity. Right. What is the meaning of data integrity? Right. If you guys remember, I had written 2 words: accurate, accurate, and consistent. Right. Consistent. This is something I had written, right, while I had written about while I had talked about you know uh, data integrity, right? So data integrity we have to maintain, but how to make data integrity maintained, right? There are various methods, right? Right. Right. One of the method is constraint. To maintain data integrity, to maintain data integrity, data integrity, right, right, right. We have various methods. We have various methods. Various methods. Right, right. We have various methods. Now, what are the various methods? First, constraint. What is the meaning of constraint? Right. Constraint means some forceful rule. Some forceful rule. Rules or conditions. Simple. Forceful rules or condition. Second is normalization, that we are going to see at a later stage. Right. Many of you might be knowing about this normalization. One is transactions as well. But what is normalization? It is a design technique that minimizes the data redundancy. Minimize the data duplication or data redundancy. Data redundancy. Right. Redundancy. We will be studying this at a later stage, but this constraint we can study now, because this is a part of DDL, because you bring some constraints on the database. Right? So we will start looking at some constraints. So constraints. So what is a constraint? Right, right. In database, this is a rule that has to be made. Rules or conditions, conditions, conditions that must be made, that must be made to be must be made. That's it. That has to be must to be made to insert the data, to insert, to modify, or to perform any operation on the table, database table. To perform, perform crude operation, let's say, or operation in database table, database table. This is something there. Now, the point is, how are we going to, uh, make such constraints? That is the question. Right. First, that is right, not null. This is first constraint. Second, primary key. Primary key. Third, unique. Unique. Fourth, auto increment. Auto increment. Fifth, default. Sixth, check. Check. Seventh, maybe let's say foreign key. These are few of the constraints, right, that you need to follow to make your database, right, consistent and accurate. What are this? Right. We will discuss this one by one. Right. We will discuss this one by one. Right. So first of all, anyone has any questions here? Right. Quickly. Anyone? No any questions? Should I move ahead? Okay. Very good. So let's start. Right, right, right. Let's start and see how can we move ahead. Right, right. So first of all, let's start with a very simple, not null, primary key, unique, and all of those things. Right. So what I will do, right, right here, right now, I will just copy this here, truncate, insert, everything. Right. So I'll just copy this. I have also compared it. Now moving ahead, here we are going to see, right? We are going to see about, you know, having some constraint on the database. So how can you do that? So first of all, I will just remove it. I will start with again very basics. So let's say here I will just clear it. So create database if not exist. Let's say student is there. Then here I will just write use the student. So let's say here this is the database. Right? This is the database, and now I will just execute it. Right. So now we are executing, we are using student. Right. Right. Now, first thing, I will write few things. You just need to check it out what I am doing. Right. And then we will see a lot of things. So you don't need to worry about that. Right. 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 We'll see one by one. Right. So first of all, let's start. First, we are going to see about, right, right, that is, what was that? No, not null. So let's say here I will just write create table table student info. So this is the table we had created earlier as well. So create table student info, and now here I will just write roll number. So let's say roll number. So now guys, one thing, right? Roll number, right, should never be null value, or let's say even leave roll number as of now. So I'll just write integer. First of all, I will just write integer. I will just write integer. I will not do anything here. Let's say I will write integer and leave as it is, right? Now I will just write name. Let's say name. At least name cannot be the null value. It cannot be a null value. So now I will just write varchar. See what I'm going to do. Varchar, and let's say here I will just write 255 characters, and here I will just put not null. So this is the constraint, not null. Right? This is the constraint. Now just execute this. So I will now execute this. So here create table student info like this. Now here I have to insert a value. So now I will just insert into. So here insert into student info. Insert into student info. Student info. Student info. And here I will just pass, right, student info. Here I will just pass, maybe let's say roll number and name. So roll number and name, and here I will write values. So let's say values, here values, and then here I will just write, let's say roll number is 1, roll number is 1, right? Roll number is 1, and the name is Ajay. Done. So here, this way, I am going to insert the values. Please try it on your own, so that no, you guys also practice it. It gets repeated, right? Now I will execute this. So this is how I executed, right? Right. Student info already exists. So what I will do, right? So I'll just go here, tables. So here create a student info. Mm, so I'll just drop table, right? Students table, student, right? Now I will execute this, right? Now here I will just write student info, here student info, and then I will just execute this. Now, if you see, we have got a row, something like this. Select a star from. So this ideally I will write in capital. So select star from let's say student info, right? Select star from student info. Now here I will just execute this. So here you will see roll number and Ajay. Very good, not a problem. Very good, not a problem. But what will happen, right? If I will again insert the value without any name, that's the thing. Because here I have told that the constraint should be not null. Right? It should be not null. Right? 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 It should not be null. So let's try to execute this again. So now I will execute again, and let's see what happens. Right? Column count doesn't match value count at row 1. Right? 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 So what I can do again, what I will do, maybe I will just write drop table, right? Table student info. So if exists student info, student info, student info, student info, right? So here I will just drop the table first. I want to show you again, and then create table student info, and then insert this value, right? So here I will execute this. See, it will give you an error. Column count doesn't match value count at row 1. Why? Because here we have told that this should be not null, but you are not providing any value out here. And since you are not providing any value, it is giving you an error. So this is one type of constraints. Is it clear, everyone? Right. It will not allow you to insert the data. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Yes or no? Right. Right. Yes or no, guys, quickly. Right. So far, so good. Anyone has any questions? Everyone has done till here. Quickly. Everyone has done till here. Yes. Gaurav says yes. What about other people? Right. But let's say if you have not, so let's say here not null. So this was first not null. So I will just put it here not null. So I'll just keep it here so that this is clear. So first constraint is not null. Constants not null. Right? Not null. So here you got this constraint not null. Very good. Right? Very good. But what if you didn't had put any comments like this not null? Let's say you remove this, you remove this, you remove this, then again execute this first. I will execute this first, and then again execute this. Then what will happen? Right, right, right. Here, right, drop table if doesn't exist. Right, I'll first drop it, then create table. Right, right, right. Right. So now, Saurav asked, sir, why are we dropping table after each query? I'm just dropping to teach you. That's it. You don't need to drop the table again and again. Right. 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 So now here, insert student info, roll number, values. So here, column doesn't count row one. So here I will just write, right. Oh, maybe like this. No, this should not be there. 250. Let's I will just put a value as and let's say here I can just put like this, right? And now here I will just execute this, right? It should run fine. See, this is the problem. So table student info already exists, and that's why I have to drop it again and again because I have created the table here. So now I will just execute this, and now if you see the name roll number one and Ajay is already there. So this is, the first constraint that we have seen. Now, second constraint that I have written is primary key. So what is the primary key? Already we have seen this. What is the primary key? Primary key, right? So here I will just write, what is this? So not null, right? Right. Column value, right? Or field will not be null. Will not be null. Null. Right. Primary key. Right. What is primary key? You already know. Unique and not null by default. This is your not null by default. This is your primary key. Now let's see what should be made a primary key here, guys. Everyone. What can we make a primary key here? Let's say roll number is there and name is there. What can be made a primary key? Right. Everyone. Right. So primary key. What can be made primary key? Quickly. Roll number. Very easy. So now what we can do here? Create roll number integer. Now, here you can have simply primary key. So just write like this. Primary. So if you write this, create table student info, roll number, and this, before this, it will be primary key. then this becomes your primary key. And here I will just put it by not null. This is not null. Null. I will just put it like this. So again, I have to drop table because again I have to create table. If you create table again before dropping, it will throw an error. So first of all, I will drop a table. So let's say I will drop the table. Now again, I will create the table, insert a value. So now here, if you see, I will just insert it. And now here, if you see, roll number is 1, name is Ajay. And one more thing, if you just rephrase it, right? If you just rephrase it, right? So here you rephrased it, student info, columns, this is roll number and name. So here roll number is there. So here if you see roll number and inside this schema, here if you see integer primary key. Are you able to see this, guys, everyone? Integer primary key is your roll number. Everyone, are you guys able to see this? This name, this is varchar, right? Fine. But this roll number, if you see, now it is integer primary key, right? Right, 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 right. So this is the understanding of primary key. The screen visibility problem, I am able to switch to full screen. uh, I'm not sure as of now. Weapon, maybe I will see at the last what is the problem of full screen. Right, right. There was an option of full screen we had discussed in earlier classes, right? But let's say this is your primary key. So I will just try to. If you see here schemas, click on schemas. Weapon, click on schemas. You will find here the roll number as a primary key. That's it. So we have done not null and we have done primary key. Right? Now, let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. Right. 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 So now here we have done two of right. 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 Two of the constant. What are the other constants? So let's say we have unique. Right. 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 Now, what is the meaning of unique? So in unique simply means right, 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 that the column should be unique. Right? The field should be unique. So for example, let's say you are designing this table student info. Right? Right, right. Now you understand that there can be also email ID. Right? There can be email ID. There can be email ID. There can be email ID. And email ID can be varchar. Varchar means string in SQL. So let's say email ID, and here email ID I can put, let's say email ID I can put maybe let's say 255 characters. 255 characters. And you understand that email ID cannot be duplicated. Right? Right. One person should have only one email ID. So what constant you should keep? Unique. So now again, I will show you drop table if exist. I will just drop it. Then I will just run it so that I will create this table. We have to recreate the table again and again, right? Because this is the nature that we are going to study. So now here, let's say aj at the rate gmail.com. aj at the rate gmail.com. Now here, let's say you will insert this. So you will insert this, right? Right. Uh, roll number one is there, name is there, right? Right. What I have done. Mm, okay, here I haven't written email. So email is there. And then I will just execute this. So I will just execute this. So first again, drop this. Then I will execute this. Now here if you see name Ajay is there, email aj@gmail is there. Right, right. So Tanya will come to the table part. Let's focus on this first. Right. So here we have done this. Right. So we are first seeing all the DDL commands related to the database and the tables. DDL commands, right? Not DML. Now here we have create table, roll number, name varchar, email is this. Now fun part is this, that now if you again re-execute this line, something like this, with the same email ID. Let's say this time instead of Ajay, we will be having Bijay, right? But with the same email ID. Now let's see what will happen, right? See here, you will get an error, duplicate entry for one key, student info primary. So basically, it will not allow you to enter the same thing. So basically, first of all, primary key is 2, let it be like this 2, Bijay, and now execute. It will, primary key is also cannot be duplicate, right? But let's say here, duplicate entry aj@gmail for key student info email. It will not be allowed to do. This is the understanding. Is it clear, everyone? What is the meaning of unique? Right. At the end, when I will summarize everything, then you will be surprised to know that you have made an application. Right. What application? I will come to that. Right. Right. So first we'll start in bits and pieces. Then again we'll summarize everything. Did you guys understood this? Everyone. Right. So what is the meaning of unique? Right. Unique simply means that you want that field to be unique. Right. Right. This is the understanding. Now, next one. What was the next one, guys? Do you remember? Auto increment. So let's see auto increment. Auto increment. Auto increment. Now, Now, this is also going to be very interesting. So, for auto increment, why I have written like this auto increment? Uh, in SQL, the comment is like this. So, let's say auto increment. So, for auto increment, what I'm going to do again, drop table if exists. So, I have to again just do this, right? Now, here, roll number, integer, primary key. You can have multiple constraints together. So, in this case, I will just write auto increment. And if you see their suggestion also, auto increment, right? Auto increment, increment. See, auto increment. This was the suggestion as well. So now again, I will create the table. So this again, the table will be created. Now let's say here, you don't provide any value. Let's say first of all, you will just, insert this. So you will insert this first, right? So you have inserted this, then again, you execute this, right? Fine. We have one, Ajay and az@gmail.com. Fine, very good. Now here, if you just not provide anything, right? You have not provided anything. So let's see what happens. Now you execute this, right? Let's try to execute this. Now here you see, right? So here we don't have any value. So let's say here you provide any value. Let's say 3, and then let's see what happens. So here I will just increment this. So now I will execute this. So now. Here email id should be changed, because earlier I had showed you that explanation. So now I will execute this. Now if you see, roll number 1 is there, 3 is there, but what will happen, right? See, we have provided this 3, right? That's why you are getting this 3. But ideally, this is your auto increment, right? So here you can just put 1 and 2 here, and let's execute this again, right? Drop table. So actually, I'm not able to show you, right, how to, show you the auto increment. But auto increment simply means it will, you know, increase the values, right? As you keep inserting values again and again. So 1 2 3, right, 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 right. 1 2 3 4 5, whatever values, right, is like that, right? So it will keep uh, you know incrementing the values, right? So actually to see this, we could have uh, mhm. So remove roll number. Yeah, yeah, I know that. I wanted to show you one interesting thing. Mm, I wanted to show you schema. Prime decay. Okay. Anyway, leave it. Leave it. So basically, what we can do here, just this is thanks, Praveen. You can just do this way as well. Just remove this, and most probably this should work. Let's see it. So here you will just see it, right? Uh, Duplicate entry, why it is there, CJ. So let's say CJ, and then here you can just put like this, and now you will find, right, this like this. So this will be auto incremented. So here if you see 1 2 something like this, all values will be auto incremented like this. So maybe what I will do, I will just execute the complete thing, right? So like this. So if you see 1 2 is already there. Why? Because we have removed roll number from here, and this will automatically create the unique auto incremental value. That's the whole idea. Right? Right? Right. That's the understanding. Right. Now next we have what was the next? We have done unique, primary, not null, auto increment. We have default. Now we are going to start with default value. So what is default? So let's say roll number is there, name is there, email is there. Now what does default do? Right. What does default do? Right. If there is not any specified value, then some default value will be there. So for example, roll number, name, email is there. Now we have city. Let's say city. City is a field, right? So let's say city, varchar. And here I will just write, if no one provides the city value, right? No one provides city value, right? Then put default value as not specified, not specified. That's it, like this, not specified. If you don't have, right, if you don't have any value, then you just keep it, right, not specified. This is the no use case of city column, sorry, default value. So now again what you will do, you will just execute this, right? So you will just you know uh, execute this first, right, right. So here execute this, right, right, right. Now, right, 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 right. Here you will see select student info, you will find, right, one Ajay, aj@gmail, and since you have not specified anything, that's why you will find a value not specified, right? Not specified. Is it clear, everyone? Yes or no? If none of the value will be provided, then by default it will be not specified. This is the understanding, right? Right. Right. Is it clear? Yes or no? Everyone, quickly. Right. 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 So far, so good, guys. Everyone. Right. Auto increment need a starting point? No. By default, it will start from 0 or 1, whatever by default value is there. So here you have not provided any value. So for example, if you wanted to provide any value, what you can do here, simply write, maybe let's say name, email, and city. So let's say city. So something like this, city. Now if you just execute like this, roll number, name, email, city, and maybe this value here, I will just write Delhi, Delhi, right? So now if you execute, right, then it will, right, this is your, have to repeatedly drop the table. That is the problem. So now if you see here, city is default. If you not provide anything, by default, it will take not specified. By default, it will take not specified. Right. Next thing is the check. So auto increment is done. Now the check. There's one last constraint, second last constraint. There is one foreign key as well. So second last constraint is check. So let's see the check as well. So this is your check. So what does this check does? Right. What does this check does? Right. Check provides you, right, values integrity. What is the meaning of that? So let's say you want to enter a field. Let's say age column. You want to filter a, you want to, fill, or you want to insert a age field that can be integer. But since it is a student database, you cannot you cannot have a student less than 5 years old. So for that, you will be having a check that will look like this. Age should be greater than equals to, see, very easy, greater than equals to 5, and maybe multiple checks you can write, and and age is less than equals to, maybe let's say 25 for schools, or let's say 20 for schools. The age should not be more than 20. So this is your check constraint, right? This is your check constraint. So here I will, again, what I will do, I will just drop the student info database. So I have dropped it, then again create table student info with this age check. So let's say I have executed this, and now insert into student info, we have roll number, we have name, we have email, we have city. Now let's say age. So we have provided age here, and here age, I will just write 4 first. So let's say I have written 4 first. Now execute this. So it will throw you an error. Check constraint student info check 1 is violated. You cannot put the age less than 5. So this SQL error is not generally like Python error. You have to understand a lot of things, but yes, this is the understanding. Now, the moment you put the age, let's say 15 years, then it will not throw you any error, and it will be executed. And you can just see this here. Roll number 1, name is Ajay, email is aj@gmail, city is Delhi, and age is 50. This is the understanding of the complete constraint except the foreign key. I will come to this foreign key. Don't worry about that. Right. Till now, anyone has any questions to ask? Right. Anyone has any questions to ask? Right. Check. So far, so good, everyone. Yes or no? Quickly. Right. Everyone, yes or no? Adeline, Santanu, Praveen, Tanya, Rishikesh, Pratiksha, Survi. Right. So far, so good, everyone. Right. 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 Now, guys, actually, I have already prepared a notes for you. Right. A SQL note. So basically, I will provide everything here. So let's say I will just write like this. Star multiple line comments. Right. start like this, and then I will just put like this. So here this is the notes already I have made it for you, right? So that right, something like this. So here all the things, here something is there. Okay, there is some syntax error, but yes, this particular auto incremented unique id. So actually what I can do here, I will just remove this, and actually copy paste this particular auto incremented unique id, right? Auto incremented unique id and primary key, right? Classes name cannot be null, name cannot be null, right? Name cannot be null. Age must be between 5 to 20, right? This is something here, and default city is not available, right? You can put like this, right? So this way your notes is also ready, right? Right. And now I will just remove, no duplicate values, not allowed, not primary key is unique, primary key is unique. This is the understanding, right? Right, right, right. Now, moving ahead about the foreign key. What is the foreign key? We are going to also see that. Right, right, right. So let's try to see foreign key. So here I will just now write foreign key. So what is foreign key? If you guys remember, right? What is a foreign key? So let's say you have a table. Let's say here you had student info, student info. So here we have role ID, and then something name, email, something like this. So let's say this is the primary key, right? If this is the primary key, right? This is the primary key, right? Right, right. This is the primary key, and if this same column is available in another table, let's say here role ID, let's say here registration ID and fee paid, then this role ID will be known as foreign key. Then this will be known as foreign key. Right. This is known as foreign key. Foreign key is clear? Right. 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 Yes or no, everyone? But now the question is, why do we, right, create a foreign key? Right. There's a reason behind it, right? And a very important reason. You know, many of the time it is not taught actually. Right. 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 It is not taught. Vipin says to make relationship. Fine. But what will happen? Right. What will happen if you make the relationship? Right. Right. What will happen? Relationship is fine. Relationship can be also made from another column. But why explicitly say that this is foreign key or this is not foreign key? Why? Very, very important. So let's move ahead now. So let's try to understand this. And we are actually raising the bar, guys. So please be attentive here. Right. So we will dive deep into this. Right. Right. So, right. I'll just comment it here like this. Right. Foreign key. Foreign key constraint. There's a lot to this foreign key constraint that people don't know, people don't teach, or people don't understand. So let's say we have two tables. let's say we have two tables. Let's say, let's say we have two tables. We have two tables. We have two tables. First, students, that is your primary table, or let's say parent table. Parent table. See, this is going to be very interesting. Parent table, and let's say enrollments. 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 This is your child table. I have made two table. I have made two table. Students parent table, which contains, I'll just write which contains student details. Student details. And then enrollments, that is child table, right, right, right. Stores enrollment records. Stores enrollment records. Enrollment records. Records. Very good. Right. Right. So we have these two tables. So let's create the table, guys. Right. Let's create the table quickly. So create. So I will repeatedly create the table. Right. The students, so that it is in practice. Create table. The students. The students. So let's say create table students. Here I will just put here roll number. Let's say roll number, and here it will be int, and I will make it primary key, primary key, let's say primary key, and then here we give the comma, and then we have then name. I will put it varchar of 256 or 255 size, 255. I don't want it to be null, so I will just write not null, not null, not null, and I will just enter and semicolon. Done. So here a table has been created. Very good, right? Very good. So table students has been created. This is your parent table. Now we have another table called enrollments. So let's create this enrollment table as well. So here I will just write, again I will copy this maybe so that I can use this. So here I will just copy this. So create table enrollments. So here I will just put enrollments, enrollments, enrollments. So create table enrollments. Now here again we can have ID column. So let's say ID field is there. ID. This is integer, primary key, and let's say auto increment. It is also increasing auto increment. Auto increment. Auto increment. So let's say auto increment. Very good. Now again we have roll number. So roll number, it will be integer. Let's say roll number, it will be integer. Roll number integer. So this is your roll number integer. Very good, not a problem. And let's say maybe here we have another column, that is course. So course is varchar, and here I will just write course varchar, and here we can put any number, that is 100, and let's say you don't want to be null. So not null, not null. Very good. Here so far, no any problem. But how to say or how to show, right, right, that this roll number is a foreign key? For which table? For which table? Students table. How to show that? So for that, you have to write something like this. So foreign key, like this. Foreign key. So foreign key. Obviously, this is small, but you can always keep capital. Foreign key. Then provide here roll number, roll number, roll number, right? Roll number, and then this is your foreign key roll number. References, references, references. You have to use this keyword references. How to reference? Students roll number. Students roll number. So here you can just write roll number. That's it. This is the first thing that you have to do. So what is happening here? Roll number in enrollments references roll number in students. Right? This is the thing. Right? Now, no, no, no. Here done. We have done this. So this becomes your foreign key, right? This is your file. So let's execute this. So create table. So table is created here. Then we have created table enrollments. Very good. So we have created another table. So now if you just refresh, right? If you just refresh, you have enrollments and we have student. And now if you see, we have some foreign key here. No. In enrollments, you will find some foreign key. So here, if you see enrollments, here you will find that there is foreign key, something like that. You will find this. This is the understand. You will get this example. This you will see it. Now, what I'm going to do, right? What I'm going to do here, right? I want to, right, 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 right. I want to actually now insert a value. So insert into, let's say I will just insert the value. So insert into, I will just copy this and I want to insert this. So insert into, so let's say maybe insert into students. So I want to student, in students, I want to insert maybe roll number and name. I will just clear this. Roll number and name and one integer. Fine. One integer is there. Then again insert into the students, and here I will just put roll number name and this time 2 and bj, right? Bj. Very good. I have inserted two values here. That should not be a problem, right? Now similarly I want to insert into enrollments. So this time we have, yes, this time we have student. Then again this time id is there first. Id is there, roll number is there, then we have course. So course is there. So course. So id is, let's say, 1, right? Roll number, or let's say 100. id is 100, right? Let's say roll number is maybe 1, and then course is data science. So let's say here I will just write data science. Similarly I can have another value, and this will be enrollments 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 enrollments. Now again, I will insert another row. So insert into, right, something like this, enrollments, ID, roll number again, and this time 101, and let's say data science, and this time ML. ML, and this is your ID2. ID2. Very good, right? So let's you know, insert this. Very good. So we have inserted. Now if you want to see both the table, you can see both the table. Select star from, right, first students, that is students, right? And then we have select star from enrollments. So enrollments, this is going to be very, very interesting. So we have now this. So first execute this, right? Right, right. So select star from, what I have done. Why I've done comma? Okay. Select star from students, right? So now if you see 1, 2, Ajay, Vijay is there, right? Select from enrollments. If you see here, right? Here you will find ID 100, 101, roll number is 1, 2, course DS and ML. Very good, right? Very good, right? Right. Now let's try to do something, right? Right. 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 Since someone had asked, can you show the delete operation? I will show the delete operation also, right? So delete actually, you know, delete operation drops a row, right? So here I will do one thing, right? So delete is a DML command. That's why I didn't wanted to explain that, but let's say delete. I will just write from delete from the students where, see it carefully, where in students we have roll number, so where roll number is equals to 1. What is this where? This is a condition. We'll discuss this about in detail. You don't need to worry about this, right? So first thing, delete from student when where roll number 1, where roll number is 1. So now try to execute this, right? If you try to execute this, you will get an error, cannot delete or update a parent row, a foreign key constraint fails. And that is the major use of foreign key that people ignore. What has happened? You had a student table, roll number is your primary key here. Then we have enrollments. Here roll number is the foreign key. But also I have mentioned that this table, enrollment table, actually takes the value from student table. So now when student table is being deleted, it throws me the error that no, it should not be deleted because this current table has a dependency of enrollment table. So this will throw an error. This will throw an error, an error as, right, as enrollment enrollment table is dependent on enrollment table is dependent on enrollment table is dependent on the students table. Simple. The students table via foreign key roll number, via foreign key foreign key roll number. Did you guys understood this? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? So tailing that foreign key is just to make relationship is very easy, but you have to understand in depth what will happen if you make something foreign key and do some operations. Right? Right. Is it clear so far, everyone? Right. Ashraf says, give example of real scenario. Very good. Right. Actually, I was thinking to give in the last. Right. Just wait for 5-10 minutes more. I will give you a whole thing because this code, whatever you have written, is actually a real world application. Right. 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 Vipan says, if we need to delete them, how can we? I will come to that. I will come to that. Right. I will come to that. But as of now, did you guys understood? By default, right, it is restrict. Right. By default, this foreign key, right, you have some referential statements. So referential actions. So referential actions. So referential actions with foreign key. I will explain you, right? Right. So here first we have made a foreign key, right? Right. So Till here I will just put it like this. Right. This is the understanding. Right. So far, so good. Now, by default, right? By default, here we will be having, right? So where it is foreign key. By default, right? If someone wants, right, to delete or do something like this, right, 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 then by default it is called as cascade, right? Cascade. Sorry, it is restrict. So here I will just write on delete, on delete. If you want to delete any table, right, on delete it will be restrict. On delete it will be restrict. Simple. On delete it will be restricted, right? On delete it will be restricted, right? So this on delete it should be restricted. By default it is, right? And again I can show you. So what I will do, I will just remove this table, drop now, and here I will also drop the table, right? Drop now. I just want to keep this, right? So now I've dropped the table again. Now I will show you again. So let's say here, by default it is restrict and it will throw you the same error. So now I will just execute this, right? See here, cannot delete a parent foreign key constraint, the same error. So by default this will restrict on deleting. So the first referential action is delete. So referential action with foreign key, referential actions, referential actions with foreign key, with foreign key. That is the first thing would be restrict. This will be by default, restrict. This is by default. What does it do? Prevents deletion, right? Deletion or update, right? Update if there are related records in the child table, in the child table. Simple, right? This is the understanding, right? Right. Now, now, this was now this was by default restrict, right? Right. Right. Second one is cascade. Second one is cascade. Cascade. What is this cascade? Deletes, deletes or updates child record, child records automatically, automatically, automatically when the parent is deleted. When the parent is deleted or updated. Deleted or updated. What is the meaning of this? Again, let's try to understand this. Right? Right? Let's try to understand this. So now this time here, instead of on delete restrict, right? What I'm going to do? So first of all, this is done, right? This was restrict, right? Restrict, restrict. So hopefully I have copied this restrict. Right. Now we will be having cascading. So I'll just copy this, right, for cascading. So here I will just write cascade, cascade. So here I will just write cascade. Right. So restrict I will remove, and then again I will delete this table. Then again I will drop this table. Now I will show you cascade. What will happen when you will be having cascade, right? So let's say create table students, right? And now this will be executed, create enrollment, right? On delete, here I will just write cascade, cascade. Right? So on delete cascade or on update cascade. So both delete and update both should work. So on update, update, on update. So you can also write on update. Right? Update simply means here delete you understand. Update means adding extra rows. Cascade. On update also you say cascade. Let's say. Now here also I should put it so that on delete and on update. On update, update. It can be both. Restrict on update and on delete. I didn't get copied or what? Restrict. So now let's move ahead with this. So now again, what I will do, I will create the table, insert the value, enrollments, and then this time it is cascade. So let's try to look at this first, all the values first. So let's see it. Here we have ID, roll number, course. So if you want to say it again, so from student we have a roll number and name, and then we have again for enrollments. Good, fine. Now this time again, you want to delete the record. So let's say delete from student where roll number is equals to 1. So now again, I will use this. So now this time the row has been deleted, right? This row has been deleted now. Right? Now again, if you see, last time it was throwing an error, right? Right. Last time it was throwing you an error, but this time the row is deleted. And now if you see this time student and enrollments, so let's see it. So here if you see in student, you have only one row, that is 2 Vijay. And similarly, that particular row, which was fetching the information from the first table, is also deleted from the enrollments. And that's why you see only 101, 2, and ML, only roll number 2. So this is the understanding of cascade, right? Right, right. So here I will just write this time it will not throw error. This time it will not throw error. It will not throw error, error, error. It will just delete the values from both the table, from both the tables. Clear everyone? Yes or no? Yes, it is due to foreign key because you have told explicitly that this is foreign key referencing this table. Now, on foreign key, see, you don't have any comma here. This is the property of foreign key on delete cascade. If this would not have been the property of foreign key, it would have been comma and it would have been comma here as well. But this is the property of foreign key, and that's why on delete cascade simply means you will also delete here in the child table as well. Right, 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 right. Did you guys got it? Everyone, everyone. Interesting, yes or no? Quickly. Everyone got this? Right, right. Everyone got this? Right, right, right. Reference is used only with foreign keys. Yes, here you have to mention that this is referencing this table. Right. Anyone has any other questions? Anyone has any questions out here? Quickly. Right, right. Quickly, guys, everyone. Do you guys have any questions? Did you guys understood so far? No one is responding. Is everyone sleeping or what? Am I audible, guys? Everyone? Yes or no? Right. Right. Any questions so far? Tanya says which should be used ideally, restrict or cascade. Always in the industry, you should use restrict. If there is dependency of the two table, you should never ever use cascade. Right. If there is dependency, I will explain the real world example. So don't worry about this. Right. Now we have another one, set null or set default. So here, second one was cascade. Third one is set null. Set null. What is this set null? If the record parent from parent table is deleted, then that particular row in child table will have null value, will have null value, null value. And then we have set default, right? Any default value, whatever you want to put, any default value, right? Again, let's try to look at this, right? So here I have, no, I will just delete this. I don't want this table, right? So drop table, drop now. So here I will also again drop table. So I have dropped table now, right? So now here we have set null, right? So what I have done, I have written a query, right? So here I will just put this query, same query, everything, right? Right. So here you will see create table students, insert data into parent table. So I have just create child table with on delete set null and on update set null. So on delete set null, on update set null. You can have multiple. On delete you can write cascade. On update you can write restrict, whatever you want to have. Right. Now insert data, something like this. Right. Now let's check the data. So I'll just execute this. So here we have Ajay and Vijay 1 and 2. Select from enrollments. See here. Very good. We have 1 DS 2 ML. Now delete it. So delete from where roll number is 1. Fine. So you have deleted. Now select star from student. See here, Ajay is being deleted, but here in enrollment, if you see, you will find a null value out there. So null value, roll number, and the course still is data science. Did you saw this? And similarly, you will be having a default value as well. So for default, set default, same code, right? Same code, only the difference is, right, right, right. On delete set default. Mhm. So we have some set default values as well. So it is not required, I guess, here. This would not be a problem. Right. But okay, let's try to execute this. Right. So I'll refresh. Right. Enrollments, drop table, drop now. Then again, drop table, drop now. And again, execute this. Right. So let's try if it should not give any error. Right. I don't know why it is showing their error. Okay, it should not. It is just a warning, I guess. Now check data. Right. Here I will check the data. So yes, here if you see, select start from students 99 default, right? Now delete it. So I will just delete it here. Now once the deleted, right, right, student enrollments, primary key. Oh, right. Here comma is fine. Comma is fine. That's not a problem, right? So here a student where roll number is one, right? Delete a student. Right. Okay, so leave it the set default one. I will send you the code for set default at a later stage. But hope you understood what are, right, right. Default not split. I will check the set default because set default is a problematic one. Don't worry about that. I know this. I had this problem earlier as well. But here, so finally you have seen four styles, four referential action, right? Set default, right? Set null, cascading, and restrict. This is the understanding, right? This is the complete understanding of foreign key. Many of the time, students just, and mentors also just, ignore these details, but this is the final fine details, or you can say that, the in-depth explanation of foreign. So now, moving ahead, other way of creating constraints. Other way of creating constraints. Other way of creating constraint. So here we had create table. So let's say create table, right? So create table. I'll just put it here. There was a small one, right? Okay. Here, let's say create table, right? So create table. So let's say here other way of creating table, creating constant. So create table students. We have roll number. So let's say here integer. I will just put like this an integer. Here I can just write not null. So it will be not null. Let's say this is by default not null. Then we have varchar. Here also we'll put not null. Fine. This is the thing. But let's say you want to put constraint. One way of constraint is just to put here like this primary key, primary key, primary key, and something like this. So you can do that. Right. Right. Another way, another way is very simple. How can we do? So you have to write something like this. See here. Constraint. Constraint. So first of all, you have to write constraint. Thus, now write the database name first. Let's say the database name is student, right? Inside this student, what table it is? Students. So we have students table, right? Right. And after that, whatever constraint you want to put, let's say you want to put unique constraint. So this unique, you can put any name here, it doesn't matter. You can put any name, but ideally this should be followed. So student, the database name, students, the table name, and whatever constant you want to put. Let's say unique. So now what will you do? We'll just put here unique, and then this unique is for what column? Let's say whatever column you want to put, be it one column or multiple column. So let's say I want to put here, let's say roll number, roll number. Let's say you also want to put for name column. It doesn't matter, one column or more than one column. And now you will again execute this, right? This will become, right? The students already exist, so we have to delete this, right? As usual, I have to delete again and again so that I can execute this, right? Right. Done. So now I will execute this create table students. Now if you see, this is all the constants here. Create table, same way the constant is there. Right. So again you will refresh it. So here students, now columns. Here if you see roll number, see roll number is primary key. So here unique, right? Find and name here again varchar primary key. So here by default it is taking, you know, a unique value. That's how I have made it. So this way also you can make constraint. But now you will be wondering that why this way constraint? Right. Right. Why this way constraint? That is the question. We had already seen one way of making the constraint. But then why? Right. This way of constraint? Why this way of making constraint? So basically, many of the time, right, you have to add or delete the constraints. You can do that using this way. How? So I haven't no uh, made you guys understand a concept called alter, right? But let's say alter is a DML command, but I will come to that at a later stage. But let's say here we have this thing. Let's say this particular uh, no, right, right, right. This way of writing constraint, constraint will help you to delete or add constraint. So another way of creating constraints, something like this. I will just put it here. Right. I will just put it here. Yes. Right. Another way of creating constant. Right. 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 Now, now, how? Right. 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 This is helpful. Right. So if you want to drop the constraint or modify the constraint later, you can easily do so. For example, how? Right. 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 How? So there. For that, you have a command called alter. So let's say here I will just write alter table students, students, alter table student, students, alter table students, alter table students. I've increased the size as of right. So alter table students. Now you have to modify or edit this table, and here you can just write drop constant, constant, and whatever name constant you have. So let's say this constant you want to drop. You don't want to keep this constant again. So this alter is a table DML command, but again I am using here. But let's say here you will now alter the table. So now if you see alter table drop constant, so the constant has been dropped. Similarly, if you want to add again constant, again add the constant, again add the constant, again add the constant, constant, right? Again, if you want to add the constant, just do like this. Instead of drop constant, use add constant, and whatever constant you want. Same way, and it can have multiple columns, right? Again, there will be constant. Again, you want to have multiple constant, primary, foreign key, primary key, whatever you have, right? You can do like this, right? So you can again do this like this, like this. Multiple constant. So I'll just comment this multiple constants, multiple constants, constants like this. Here, why I am commenting, because I have dropped uh, the table name. That's why. This is the understanding. Right. So now, whatever we have studied so far, let's summarize this. Let's summarize this so that we are on the same page. Right. First of all, right. What is a foreign key? So I'll just write it here. Right. First of all, I will just copy this other way of creating constant. So I'll just write like this. Right. First, summarization. Whatever we have studied. Summarization, summarization, summarization. Simple. First thing, till now, primary key of a column in another of a table in another table of a table in another table is foreign key, is foreign key. This is the first thing, right? Then we had different referential actions, referential actions, referential actions, right? First, right, action, delete behavior, delete behavior, update behavior, behavior, right? So first was restrict. What does restrict do? Restrict prevents deletion, deletion if referenced, prevents update, prevents update. Cascade deletes child node, deletes child node, child node, updates child node. Why am I adding node? Records. records, updates. Then we have set null, sets the foreign key to null value, key to null, sets foreign key to null, same, sets to null, and then set default value, default value, right? This is the first summarization. Now, now, if you think carefully, we have designed a database or a school ERP system. If you think it carefully, if you see this code, right? If you see this code, right? Right. A student and enrollment. So this particular table is created when a student has came for enrollment, and this has been created when a student has enrolled and actually now has been admitted and is sitting in the classroom. This is a school ERP system, right? But now, what is the use case of this foreign key with all the cascade and all of those things? Right. Right. So actually, all of these has some important use cases. Restrict. You should always use restrict if your information is very sensitive. Prevents accidental deletion. Use cases. Use cases. Accidental deletion. Accidental deletion. Example. Let's say here you have a Flipkart app. So here order ID, price, right? Discount. This is one table. Right. Now again order ID, right? Delivered, yes or no. Now suppose that if someone deletes this row, right, what will happen? The customer money is deducted at this level. And if someone deletes this, then how the customer will be delivered? The customer will not receive any item, right? That's why you have to use restrict so that it will throw you an error. It will not allow you to error. Right? Cascade. Then when is cascade used? Whenever you want to automatically delete dependent records. Dependent records. What is the meaning of this? Right. So let's say if, right, this is your restrict, cascade. Let's say cascade. A student is there, name, roll number. Now registration also, registration or enrollment, ID is there, roll number is there. Now let's say if a student, has left the school, he is no more part of a school, then what will happen? In that case, you can delete this record, which should automatically also delete from here. Actually, I told the opposite one. You should delete the enrollment so that here also it is deleted. So cascade, the student left the school, should be reflected everywhere, everywhere. This is the understanding. Set null. Where to be used set null? Keep records, but remove dependency. Remove dependency. And finally, say default, assign a fallback value. So all of this is the summarization that you need to know. Right? Did you guys understood this so far? Yes or no? Everyone, did you guys slept? Right, right. One thing remember constants cannot be edited. Constant can be Constants can be added or deleted, but not edited. That you should remember. So guys, right. In Cascade, we have to apply conditions to delete. No, right. Cascade will always delete the dependent records. Simple. You don't need to apply any conditions. Restrict is by default. By default. Right. Right. By default. Right. Right. So far, so clear. Anyone has any question? Quickly. Everyone, are you guys there? Yes or no? Any questions? I know this part is boring, but believe me, these all things you will not get at one place. I'm 100% sure. Right. Right. And you will be now surprised to know one thing in the. I will say you this in the last, but as of now, I will not, you know, say it now. Right. First of all, now we have this alter command. This we are going to see as well. So alter table statement in SQL. Right. So we have three types of alter table: add new columns, delete existing columns, delete existing columns, and third, modify columns, data type, data type, constraint, or attributes. So constant we already have seen that. So let's say alter table. We'll see now alter table. Right. Right. So let's see alter table. Alter table. How can you alter the table? Right. So alter, let's say table. Alter table students. Students. Now here I want to add A's column. So A is integer. That's it. So now execute this and see what happens. So if you execute and now if you just do select star from the students, right? The students, right? Do like this, and now if you execute this, so you will also find a A's column. Now, if you want to insert value, please insert it. Right. Right. Now, let's say if you want to insert, right, add a column, add a column, add a column with default value. You can do that as well, right? So now this time, let's say you want to add an email ID, and if it is not there, then you can just have any random, not provided example.com. So let's say control enter, and now if you see select students from select a star from students, you will find like this. See here, email is already also there. Now if you want to drop it, right, delete it. So delete a column, delete a column. How will you delete a column? Right, simple, alter table students, drop column age. So you can just drop this way, and then again run select student here like this, and just check it out, right? Right. So now if you see here, is column is not there. If you want to modify a data type, modify the data type, modify the data type. Right. How can you modify the data type? You can simply use, right, alter table, alter table students, modify the name column to varchar of 500. So if you now just execute, this has become a varchar. Right. Right. If you want to any modify any constraint, you can also do that. Or you want to rename a column. So let's say you want to rename a column. So let's say you can also do rename the column. So if you want to do rename the column, you can also rename the column something like this. So now if you execute this, now the column names will be renamed. So earlier it was email, now it has become student email. Right. 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 Again, we have to modify any constraint. You can also do that. We already have seen modify the constraint. You can also do the constant modification like this. Now, if you just execute this, so this will actually modify the constraint. Again, adding a unique constraint or adding another constraint, you can also do using this way. So this was the alter command that someone had asked few, few tens of minutes before that I had to teach at this part. Right. Done. Right. Right. Anyone has any questions so far? We have studied a lot of things today, and now I will end up saying one thing that you will be surprised that in your day to day life, you will never ever use these commands. Right? I know you must be now angry. Ajay, why you taught this? It was too boring. Right? Right. I will give you all the explanation. You don't need to worry about that. Right? Right. You will never use all of these commands ever. The reason being, if you see, as a data scientist, as a data analyst, you will not be making or designing a database. You will not be ever designing a table. Most of the time, company's table or company's database is already created, right? You will start doing query. That's why in the first two class I gave you the introduction to database to build up your theory part. In the next class, I gave you the practical queries that you will be using from DDL and DML both. And now this was complete DDL that you had to study to create a table, to insert a value, what is foreign key, what you can, have different types of references through foreign key, what will happen to a table if the other table is altered due to a foreign key. Everything we discussed in detail. Now, the question is why this will not be ever used. Reason being, here you are actually creating the data. See, here you are creating the data. But generally, what will happen? You will just click on the right click here, right, 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 right. Here you will click on the right click. Where has gone? Tables. Right click, table data import wizard. You will click on this. You will browse, go to the data set you want to upload, and finally, easily in some very basic steps, you will be able to import the data in your database. Simple, simple. And you have now Titanic database. See here Titanic and select star, right? Select star from Titanic. Select star from Titanic. Select star. So please write in capital generally, right? Titanic. So easily you can do this. See all the rows you will find. Right, 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 right. So where do you teach index? See, this index is just primary key. So basically, if I have to say what is the index, so basically this is index is related to query or table. So index is used to improve the speed of data retrieval operation. So for example, you want to select or do some query, right? To speed up, you make a primary key as an index, something like that, right? Or you make a unique index, or you make a composite index, something like that, right? If you want to see, I can show you. But let's say I will come to this. I will come to this. Don't worry about this. Right? I will show you index now only. But but did you guys understood why all of these will never come into use for you guys, right? Because each time you have to use a data, it will be already there in the database, or you will import the data the way I showed you. That's the understanding. Is it clear? Yes or no? Everyone? Right. Then why I taught you? Right. Because cooking. So for example, when you cook food, right? So when you eat food, right? So let's say your mom cooks and you eat food. That is completely fine. But someday, if your mom is not there, then what you will do? You need to know the process of cooking. And if you know the process of cooking, then maybe you can do some amount of cooking and eat food. Right? Similarly, query or retrieval of the data is the final goal. That is completely fine. But some amount of database command, data definition, language command, DDL commands you should be knowing, so that if required, you can create a table, you can have constraint. If I say primary key constraint, now you understand it in a better way. If I say unique, if I say check, you will now understand it in a very good way. Right? Understood? Yes or no? Everyone? Right? Right. Now, again, let's say, right? Yes, we import the data in database store only. Simple. You have to click on this right click here, right? Table data import wizard. That's it. The last thing here, since Santanu has asked, index in SQL. It's very easy. First of all, why do we need index? Right. Right. Why do we need index? Right. An index, an index, an index in SQL is used to improve improve the speed of data retrieval operations. What is the meaning of this? Right. I will give you an example. Right. Analogy. Very important concept. Right. With respect to query performance analogy. If I ask you search where a paragraph is written in a book, it will be tough. But if I say go to page 100 and search this paragraph, it will be easy. Paragraph easy. It will be easy. And indexing does the same thing for database or MySQL. That's it. See, if I randomly ask you, go and search a paragraph from the book, you will be stuck. You will not be knowing from where to start. But if I say, go and search on page 100, right, then it will be easy. Similarly, what happens, each row, right, is unique, let's say. And if something I want to search, I want to do some query, right, then it will visit to all the rows. It will try to find the values. It will try to find all values in every rows. These operations will be done. But after adding index, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that, if you add index, right, then what will happen? SQL will know, MySQL will know that here this table is this row is indexed, and it will be very fast in searching any of the query, whatever you have it. Right? As of now, it search all the rows and then gives you the result. But when you make any column an index, it will directly go to that specific rows of indexes where there are some conditions or something like that. Right. To understand it, I will give you an example. Let's say we have name, email ID, aj@gmail. Name is Ajay. Bijay, bj@gmail. Now you are searching where is Ajay. Search Ajay or search, let's say, Bijay, Bijay and its email ID and his email ID. His email ID. I will just write it like in a better way. Indexing makes very faster. Very faster. Right. Now you want to search Bijay and his email ID. Now, if there is no indexing, then what will happen? MySQL will go to each row, right? right? The query will run on each row, will run on each row, on each row. But if name is an index, name is an index, now what will happen? Right? Database in advance know that Bijay exists at this place. So name is an index, then Bijay is known to database. Database. Similar to page number. Page number. Right. Bijay is known to database. Now, if Bijay is already known and you are searching Bijay and his email ID, then it will be very easy for the database to find it. Then the runtime, the execution time will be very small. This is the understanding. This is the understanding. Did you guys understood the concept of indexing?